Hey, what is going on? Welcome to the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls channel. I'm Rob Wilkins. I am hosting today's show. You do see your normal host, Throwback, right there, but this is pretty much a trial. It's like a soft launch of the new channel we're going to be launching soon. Basically, what it comes down to is anybody that's part of like the community, as they say, that wants to try to host their own show, wants to do like a podcast or a YouTube show, but they're not necessarily.
Rob's mic just cut out. Yeah, your mic just cut out. So what Rob's basically, it cut out.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That was a good. See, that's why we call it a soft launch. So I don't know where I was at before I logged.
You were talking about how it gives people opportunities to have their own show to get comfortable with it.
Yeah. So basically, if you've been wanting to do your own YouTube show or even podcast, this gives you the opportunity to at least try out, like do a tryout for yourself. Come and do a show. You just pretty much just need to get in contact with either Throwback or myself. Like I said, we just kind of want to give you the opportunity to be able to do something. And it doesn't have to be about wrestling. It can be about movies, video games, whatever interests you. If it's history, if it's the history of Helen Keller, we don't care. We just want you to be able to try out and do your thing. And if it doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out. But we at least want to give you that opportunity to come here, and we're gonna try to make it like a community network. And we're not just gonna say like if we've never seen you before, like yeah, come and try it. I mean, it's something that we want to know you, and even if we don't know you well, we're gonna give you that opportunity. Me and Throwback are pretty much usually going to be talking wrestling, or we might get into video game talk here and there, or
definitely sports. The plan is eventually to do live fantasy drafts or live drafts on a regular with multiple people in there. Once we get the StreamYard up and running fully, we'll be able to do a 10-person fantasy draft for football this year. That's the goal. It just gives so many opportunities. You could talk about life and health. I have one person that is a customer for where I work, literally is interested in doing it, talking about what she does for work, which is basically healthcare, medical stuff, information about, certain things about COVID that she's aware of being in that field. We've got Anakin wanting and Tim wanting to do, like food and stuff like that. Rob's going to have his own morning show on a weekly basis or a daily basis, depending on how he feels. I mean, it gives people so much opportunity. It gives people like, I'm just going to be random. Joe Hobart, let's say he wants to do something. It gives him an opportunity to do something. Aaron could do a special on the channel. Tim wants to do his own stuff and transfer his Facebook stuff over. Wrestling Plug wants to be a part of this and talk about a weekly wrestling show on here. Ray Callahan, Angry Beaver on Twitter, go follow the dude, wants to do a weekly show about everything. It gives everybody more perspective and opportunity. And this is something that me and Rob have talked about with DK. And I wanted DK, if he's listening, he's going to have a show, hopefully at some point this year when he's ready. To give people opportunities to do it. Now, the goal of this channel, and me and Rob have talked about this, is not to get monetized. If it gets monetized, would that be great? Oh my God, it would be perfect. But the main goal is for you to get comfortable enough to take your show off this channel, build your own brand on this channel, and build it to the point where people just focus on your times when you come in and stuff like that. Like, good example, and Rob, you could probably contest to this because you've been doing more and more of the Fightful stuff. There are people that only go and see the review shows, and some people don't watch the watch-alongs. There's some people that will watch the interviews that Sean does and when he posts during the day, and there's other people that won't go to that. That's what people prefer. So like say, Rob, we're going to talk about baseball a little bit today, and I might have Aaron pop in just so you get an idea and the feel of how it will go. If Aaron's down for it, the idea of 1 minute, me and Rob on wake up in the morning, and Rob will message me, "Hey, are you off?" We'll talk about baseball and spring training coming up, or the next minute, Tad can come on and talk about the British scene for wrestling, or it gives everybody a chance.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just checking my phone because just Mondays are, especially after the Royal Rumble, you get all kinds of news coming in and stuff like that. So that's what I was checking my phone for. But yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. Last night was the Royal Rumble. I know Throwback's a big fan of Boston Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia announced his retirement today, so we'll probably talk about that. We're going to kind of talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, this is just kind of something. It's going to be a little bit about everything, and we might even go off on some other stuff. But yeah,
Rob,
last night
the host going off on WWE production about the 8K camera and stuff.
that I'm fine with. That's spectacular. My problem with production is the thing that it's been since I started noticing issues. And I went on I don't know if you saw my tweet from last night, but it was one of those things where WWE did not miss this kind of stuff years ago. They would not miss the camera shot. If they did, it was very rare. Very rare. And I just basically said that the 75-year-old Vince must not care about this, because the other Vince McMahon that we grew accustomed to, he wouldn't put up with this. But this 75-year-old Vince, I don't know if he just doesn't care, or if nobody tells him, or what. But that's something that needs to change. And it's not on the cameraman, so I want that to be known. That goes to the director of the show. And then, believe it or not, a lot of people think that Kevin Dunn's in charge of that, but he's not the director. So know that. And I'm not going to go on that tangent, but I'm just saying that needs to be addressed. Now, the Royal Rumble was spectacular last night. It was better than I thought it. It was better than I thought it would be, and that's good. I'm extremely happy to see what Bianca Belair winning the Rumble. She's so good, and she's awesome. I'm one of those people that I don't do the clap, you deserve it type stuff. Because I'm one of those people that I don't think we deserve really anything. That sounds really weird, but I was very, very happy for her. She was who I wanted to win. It came down to the two people I wanted to win. I either wanted Bianca or Rhea, and Bianca did it. And now I'm hoping they set this up for Bianca versus Sasha at WrestleMania. I think that's a better story than Bianca versus Asuka. Plus, Bianca's already on SmackDown, so you don't need to go that route. Hey, Aaron, I just noticed you were here.
I was just listening to Rob because his dulcet tones are relaxing.
Yeah, I was listening to Rob too.
Yeah, and then Edge. I know he wasn't the guy that everybody planned to He was a surprise win. Let's just say that to an extent. I knew he would be down in the final four. I didn't necessarily think he was going to win. I really thought, and it didn't really make too much sense to me that I know a lot of people had Daniel Bryan winning this, and he would have been a perfect choice. But I think the better story is Edge, because Edge can he can challenge who he wants to. I think he should go after Drew. That's just that's who I think he'll go after.
Yeah.
Even though he has the choice.
Rob, as soon
Go ahead.
as soon as Daniel Bryan got eliminated, my pick changed the Edge to winning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and once he got eliminated, I figured I was nervous when Randy Orton got in there, and I'm like, they can't let Randy Orton win this. As much as I respect Randy, like as a future Hall of Famer, I just like you can't go that route right now. You just can't go that route. Um, and yeah, they went with I think the right guy last night. I thought it was weird that they brought Braun in at number 30. I do wish. I don't know why you bring him back on SmackDown if you're bringing him at number 30. At least put him at 29 or something. And I think Hannah said that last night in the Fightful watch along. I mean that was kind of weird, but yeah, it was a good Rumble. The Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match was good. I know they had a little hiccup at the end there with the handcuffs where you see the ref starting to count and then he just stops and walks off. I gotta admit, I mean, sometimes when we all know botches happen. It happens, and it's one of those things last night where it was just. At least it was funny, he's counting and then he just kind of like walks off and you're like, what? and obviously that's what I knew I knew that we all knew Roman was going to win, but that's what made it official when the ref stopped the count. And then you got Heyman walking over there and they're still trying to figure it out. And it is what it is. Botches happen. Just ask Titus O'Neil.
Ooh.
Oh, that's still one of the best memories that I have for like botches. Have you ever watched the Botch like club or whatever they did, like that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson did on
the network? Botch? Yeah,
they're underneath the ring with was it Apollo Crews and Hornswoggle maybe?
Yeah.
God, that was great. But yeah, I went off a little bit there, but off track. But yeah, I mean that was good. The women's tag team championship for the pre-show, that went as expected. I thought you had to get the titles off them. They need to start letting Asuka wrestle more or with her belt. I mean, she doesn't have to defend it every week, but she needs to defend it more than obviously she has. And then you had the Sasha Banks versus Carmella. That match was good. What did you guys think of that match?
I honestly thought the Sasha match with Carmella was just stale a little bit. It was a good match. It wasn't like, oh my God, I gotta watch it right away after this.
Yeah.
I expect more from them too. Not just because of the caliber of athlete they are, just because the storyline and stuff they could have tapped into more about their NXT history, the past with them too and stuff. And they never did. They just was like, oh, well, Carmella is this high classy woman and she looks down at Sasha as, because I look at being from where I am, around here, she's considered like a hard working, kind of, I hate to say it, like a Pittsburgh-esque, grinder, middle class, hard working person. We know that she's not, but I'm just saying like that aspect of it seems like her character of her personality where she's like, I'm better than everybody, but I know once I get in there, I'm going to be grinding and I'm going to make sure see that why I'm this. It was kind of a great match, but it was just disappointing just the way how everything unfolded.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know how Carmella survived that suicide dive.
Yeah, that was something. And yeah, that was something. And you're right. I mean, I think maybe why I liked it was because I think that ended that feud. I think that was what I think that match ended that feud, and I'm hoping. I don't want Sasha to go right into Bianca because you don't need that right away. I would like to see maybe somebody like on SmackDown. Maybe who do you think would be a good person to feud with Sasha right now, like on SmackDown?
Until Mania.
Yeah, I don't think Bayley's gonna go right back into it. I mean, she could, but I don't know. If really the right call.
Hypothetically, if you wanted to, if they don't put this person who who demolished the Women's Rumble, let's just be at that, and was in the final two. I mean, if they really want to have Fox happy, they put Rhea on SmackDown with Bianca, and right after Mania, if Bianca wins the title, there you go. There's your next, feud for Bianca as a legitimate champion. You have the former NXT Women's Champion that helped headline Mania last year. Let's leave it at that. Charlotte picked Rhea for the title, so she got to headline WrestleMania for the women's side in that match. You have a feud that you could have with these two for the rest of the year for that title till, let's say Sasha leaves for a little while just to get away for it, just get healthier a little bit because she's been grinding nonstop since she got back. And, there you go. There's your setup. And then you could have Bianca versus Sasha, 2 down the line. But Raw desperately needs Rhea. But I could see if Fox puts their 2 cents in, like they've been seeing, like they're putting their 2 cents in every little bit of thing. They'll probably say we need Rhea, and they'll put Priest on, Raw, which Raw needs both of them desperately. If Rhea's not on there, I can absolutely see them pulling the trigger on Nikki for right now. Just to give as a stopgap, because think about it, how even though that women's roster on SmackDown is stacked a bit, who do you literally see as a number 1 contender straight off the bat that isn't Bayley?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think Bayley's going to weasel her way in, try to weasel her way into that match between Sasha and Bianca Belair. She's going to try to find a way to get into that.
Yeah. The other match that we need to talk about, and I think it relieved a lot of people's. I think a lot of people had a relief when Drew McIntyre beat Goldberg last night.
Oh my God!
I think and I know it's one of those things it's not a. I don't think it's a dis. I know people are looking at this like boo Goldberg. It's not necessarily, and I don't get that to an extent. It's more of a Vince WWE thing. They are the ones that do this. They're trying to get the casual fan back in it. They're trying to get the guys my age or like our age that don't usually watch wrestling to order. The guys that used to love Goldberg back in the late 90s. But it was a relief knowing that he did not win the title. And I was relieved that The Miz didn't cash in. Even though, The Miz does his job really well. His job is to annoy the crap out of us. And he does that really well. He's doing his job. And that's the thing. He's really good at his job. I think we can all agree at that because he annoys us. And I really, really thought, if they wanted to do something that would have been really cool is if you did let him cash in, you let Morrison turn on him. I thought that would have been a good thing, something to keep. That would give them another storyline for Raw. The other, did I cover all the matches? Other than
you got the kickoff match, Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, that one, the tag team jam. That was something that needed to happen. I was okay with that. Because like I said earlier, they need Asuka to start defending her title. She needs. I could actually see Asuka and Charlotte starting a feud. I think that would be good, but that won't happen until after Elimination Chamber to set up.
I think with the Chambers is going to be the number 1 contendership for a chance to go after Asuka at Mania. Charlotte will be in there. Liv, Dana. They'll bring if they decide to put Rhea's in there. I think out of all of them, a match with Asuka versus Rhea would be a great match. You've got one generation versus the current generation. I'm getting into those really heavy generation matches. Plus, like Tad just pointed out, she's kind of still Charlotte's kind of in a feud with Lacey right now and her father. Yeah. So I don't see that ending until Fastlane. They might put it on the Chamber pay-per-view just to get that as a finish and then go to Fastlane. But I think the next person in line for Asuka's title is, Rhea. If you need somebody strong to give Asuka, credibility again, and I hate to say that, that's a sad thing. You're trying to give Asuka, who is phenomenal, who has had that title since Becky relinquished it, since Money in the Bank, since April. So it's like, yeah. And then back to the Morrison and Miz point, Miz literally will have, as of Mania, less than 4 weeks to cash that briefcase in.
Yeah.
Before Money in the Bank in April again.
Yeah. As far as surprises last night for the Rumble itself, it was, first off, Tori Wilson's doing some kind of Benjamin Button thing where she looks younger and younger every time we see her. So it was good to see her last night. Victoria being able to be in the WWE ring again was really cool. I like seeing that. I know Sean Ross Sapp popped at that. He's a big fan of hers, and I will say she is one of the nicest people that I've had the opportunity to meet at at either Comic-Cons or even after a show. So it was great to see her. I think we were all very surprised to see Jillian.
That was a surprise.
That was a big surprise. It was good to see that Mickie James was back. I hope that with Mickie James being back, I hope they give her a good feud. I think she deserves a little bit of a good feud before she goes on. I'm not entirely sure how long she has on her contract and stuff like that. But I would like to see her get a little good feud in there. For the men's side, I know I loved it when Carlito came out. The dude
was awesome. He looked jacked. I was saying while you were doing the Fightful stuff, I think it's not just a one and done thing with Carlito. I think they're going to give him at least a run for a title, and not a major title, obviously, but a title. And I could see him going after the IC title and giving BE at least something to get to bridge him over to Mania.
Well, I agree. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I agree with him. I think Carlito's not a one-time thing. I think they're going to do something with him.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I know that Fightful or maybe PW Insider said that Carlito was going to get a tryout for a producer. If we remember correctly, last year, that's pretty much what they did with MVP. They brought him in for his Royal Rumble appearance, and then that next night he was going to get a producer tryout. And then basically what happened, Vince saw how damn good he was still, and he gave him a spot on TV. So I could see that with Carlito, because we all know one thing that Vince McMahon loves are big, strong guys, and Carlito, he showed that. He looked good, he looked stacked, and that's awesome for him. I'm glad he got to come back. He made a little joke on Twitter that he's well, that took 10 years or something like that. So that was good to see. So that was great. Hurricane Helms was a decent little surprise, The Kane one was a little Kane, it's one of those things where people you either love Kane or you're kind of but it was good to see him come back and get a couple. Did he get an elimination or two?
Yeah, he got a couple of them.
Yeah, so that was good.
You have to for Kane. You have to eliminate people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think were those. Christian. How about that? Christian coming back. That was awesome, because if you think about it, there was one point in the match where Daniel Bryan, Christian, and Edge were in that ring together. 3 years ago, if you would have told me those three guys would be in a ring, I'd be like, okay, I don't know what you're smoking, but give me some of it. So seeing those three guys in the ring at one time together, that was awesome because we didn't know they would ever wrestle again. And you got to be happy for that.
Yeah, it's the same point I said on the watch along on the show here, where I said if you told me in 2015 that you could have out of 3 people from NXT that was a tag team and a manager kind of thing, that the one of them out of them is a former SmackDown Women's Champion and was going for the title last night, I would have told you were nuts. And look at now. I mean, out of the 3, Cass, Enzo, and Carmella is the only one that's outlasted all of them. And you never thought about that when they were in NXT. You always thought, hey, Cass is going to be the one that's going to be WWE champion. Enzo is going to be out doing something. And Carmella would have been just stuck in NXT. I mean, now it's like, holy crap, we were all wrong about that. But you're right. It was great to see all 3 of them in that ring. And I can't wait to see. And I'll even say it, since it seems like, if Edge does go the route of McIntyre, which a lot of people is, and I'm hoping not, I would love to see a generation match. I'm into those right now, where you have Roman versus, Edge. It's not spear versus spear. It's the person who is one of the best in his generation against the guy who is the best in this generation. And it would make more sense. And for me, this is on the level of, not as somebody that watches and critiques it, as a fan, is like the closest thing you can get to having Rock versus Hogan, because Edge in his is late in this run, which it would never have happened a long time ago. But at Edge's age, he's the closest to age that Hogan is at that point. And then you have Roman, which is like, he's dead in his prime. And let's be honest, when Rock was going against Hogan, he was almost near the tail end of his prime. And this is like one of those matches that would make print instant money. Like, you hear people talking about Vince, like, make me money, with a whole conversation, and Paul Heyman does with that he's done on interviews about how, like, he didn't care about Vince cutting a promo against him. That SmackDown promo that he cut says, I don't care, you could say whatever you get, make me money. And that's what it would do. It would print so much money for Vince, especially if fans are supposed to be coming back. Oh my God, just think about how many people would be screaming their heads off.
And I think you can't do that match until there's full crowds again. I mean, I know they said that we'll never see it back the way it used to be. And I hope that's wrong. I want big crowds again. But I think you have to save that until you have a bigger crowd.
But also, Rob, the thing I'm looking at is, do you save that for 3 years down the line when Edge is done, before Edge is done? Or let's say this is Edge's last run, and say by Mania next year, he's just, before the Rumble next year, he's just like, I've done everything I need. I became champion for a while, and then I held up my end. I'm satisfied. I'm done. You can't pull that trigger.
I think what needs to happen with Edge, or what I'd like to see happen with Edge, is I would like to see him win the title, and then the next night on Raw, that's when he retires. He goes out on his own terms, not the terms that what happened last time.
What I like to see with Edge, what I think this story is going on Monday, he cut the promo, he says he wants the title back. He never really lost the title. He would actually, because he'd retire, right? I think he's going to win the title, but I don't think he's going to hold it for a long term. I think because he doesn't need to. I think have him redeem himself, like getting the title back, have him lose it to whoever's next, and then he can have regular matches with some of the top stars, not necessarily for titles, but feuds built on other things. And with Roman for the title, that could be a story right there, because Roman could be like, you're old, you shouldn't be doing this. That's the type of stuff Roman does, right?
Yeah.
The way I'm looking at it is that Edge wins the title at Mania against Roman, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You give Edge until maybe either SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Have him feud with Bryan, and there you go. There's your feud going into Mania next year, because you ain't going to get the Rock match until we go back to Hollywood in about 2 years. So,
I think you'll get it. I think you'll get it in Dallas.
Really?
You think so?
Okay, so we'll go by what you're thinking.
Depends on the filming, his film schedule for The Rock.
Yeah,
right?
that too. And that's what's weird about. Sorry to catch you off there, but it turns out John Cena made a comment that this morning that it's mathematically impossible for him to be at WrestleMania with the production of his HBO show.
Peacemaker?
Yeah, from what I understand and I've read, is they've been filming Peacemaker for a while, and that should be done here pretty soon.
Yeah, HBO episodes are like 8 or 10 episodes long. It shouldn't be long.
And they've been filming this. This doesn't make too much. I think he will be there. I just don't think he's wanting to. I mean, we're pretty close now where they start building their WrestleMania now. You know, like within. Usually we see it that night after Fastlane, or not Fastlane, the night after Elimination Chamber. But who knows? And I do think that they need to move on from Roman Kevin Owens, even though it's been really good. I don't know who they'll go with in that. Maybe Daniel Bryan there. Maybe that's where you do it, unless you're planning on having him face Daniel or Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But I mean, we've had a lot of talk about Royal Rumble, so I'm just going to kind of move on to a couple of little news tidbits that has come out. Today, WWE has announced that they've hired a new senior vice president of creative writing. Now, the one thing that I think we all know about the writers in the WWE, you can write the best script in the world, but if Vince McMahon doesn't like it, it's not going to happen. I think we all know that. So this person that's coming in, her name is Christine, and I'm sorry if I get this last name wrong, but it's Lubrano. She has experience with doing shows for called Documentary Now and Portlandia. Portlandia is a hilarious show if you haven't seen it. It used to be on IFC, but they brought her in to be the vice president of creative writing. So she has been nominated for an Emmy. So the biggest thing I think we all can agree on is you could write the best script in the world, but if the man in charge does not like it, it's not going to happen.
Those writers there, I feel so bad for working for them. They have a very short shelf life, especially the creative writers on there, because we've seen instances where people are saying, well, the story was supposed to be like this, and then it went to Vince and everything changed in about 20 minutes. I mean, that's why I'm very, very hesitant to be like, a good example. Sean doesn't want to be a writer. He doesn't want to be a writer for WWE. He doesn't want to do anything like that, or production stuff. He's actually been adamantly said on camera, and we've all seen it, that he does not want to do that. And it's because, there's certain people that are as passionate as like he does. He does all the stuff for Fightful, and he's absolutely amazing at it. Let's just leave it at that. But there's other people that could go into that environment from the outside looking in and that critique it and stuff, and then they try to change it. But the old man has the final say, and the old man in the yard basically is the big dog in the yard. Take Roman's antics out. He ain't the big dog in the yard. Vince is the big dog in the yard, and he's the one who has to say about everything.
Yeah. So moving on from that, just reading like some of the little news that's going on after last night. After I guess technically it was this morning at 12 a.m. Ali posted on Twitter, I'd like to be the first to welcome back all the senior citizens that will surely take away opportunities from hungry, hardworking individuals on this glorious road to WrestleMania. Now, the one thing I'll say is Retribution. I'm not really a big fan of that whole thing. I think WWE caused a disaster with that. But I love this Ali. I really do. This Ali is great. And I love what he said, so that was good. What do you guys think about this current Ali that we're seeing?
So good. I think the transition that he had as the hacker originally, when they brought that out, is, I see it all that stuff. And now to this it was basically the evolution of him getting to where he needed to be. That being said, they shouldn't have given up on the hacker gimmick. There was so much meat on that bone that they could have just unraveled in between to connect the dots, but they just dropped dropped and said, "Oh, I was the hacker." You could have connected the story further. Ali cut in promo after promo. It's great, but this is, if they're going to go on the old man gimmick, this is going to way Retribution's going to get into Mania, and it's going to end up with Christian teaming up with his good friend Kofi and Xavier, and then they're going to end up finding one more person to go out and have a 8-man tag just to, level it out. Now, who's that fourth person that you could pick? I mean,
Big E, maybe, because it's
I don't think it's going to be E. I think E's going to be stuck in an IC title run, and he's going to be defending it at Mania because that's how good he is.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be somebody that was in the Rumble, and that Ali made a point. And I mean, we mentioned his name, and he is considered a legend when he's technically not, I guess, is Carlito, and I could see that working out.
Yeah, that one I don't. I don't think. I don't think we'll see that. That's just my opinion. I don't. But granted, they have 2 nights this year again. So who knows? You could be right. I don't know if they'll go that route. But obviously they could.
I do like what they're going with Ali in New Day, by Ali trying to getting revenge on Kofi through Xavier, because how it's supposed to be his moment, not Kofi's moment with the WrestleMania and the title. I like that's how you build Retribution, specifically Ali. When they came in and they refuted to her business, that hurt them right away. Even the Ricochet thing helped a little bit, but the ending of that did not help Retribution. But this right now, what they're doing with New Day, is helping Ali.
Yeah. Ricochet desperately needs to be on SmackDown, and Raw is not doing any good. Him being around Retribution is not doing any good. A lot of that really good talent is on SmackDown, and I'm not talking about, people who have just been, just been there for years and years and years. I'm talking about like really good startup talent. Yeah. I mean, look at Bianca. She's only been, if I told you 2 years ago, Bianca would be almost 2 years in to her WWE run and win the Rumble, you would have been like, okay, that makes sense. Ricochet's been on both brands, but he hasn't had a steady long time period on one brand since he won the US title. And I think it's time for him to go on SmackDown. I think he would be a perfect dance partner for Big E for a Mania match. You get Ricochet going being athletic, and Big E for his size is really athletic, and that would be a really good IC title match for Mania. It would give Ricochet more spotlight. It would give him more attention. It'd be the same thing they did with Owens with Roman, but it would be for Ricochet for the IC title.
I remember when SmackDown started, when the brand split happened. It was better than Raw. We can all agree that until like WrestleMania season, and after that, Jinder Mahal became champion. That's when SmackDown really became the bad. But they do give underutilized talent more time to shine on SmackDown, and that's when they bring him to Raw, and you see how Raw uses that talent from SmackDown.
Yeah. So the last wrestling we'll talk is I said we were done with Royal Rumble, but I had one more thing from it. Last night, I don't know if everybody saw it, unless you might have missed it, but the New Day, they kind of like, we got to see them all together again, which It sucks that they split them up in the first place. But last night they were wearing Brody Lee. They made a Brody Lee their gear to honor Brody Lee. Amanda Huber said on Twitter, that's John Huber, aka Brody Lee's wife. She put on Instagram actually, and she put a picture of all three of the New Day. She goes, "My favorite people. Words cannot express the love I have for these three incredible men. I am lucky to call my friends. Just wow. I had no idea they were doing this gear, and I'm in tears." Big E said today that they are auctioning off their gear, and it's going to, I believe, like a food shelf in the Rochester, New York area where John Huber's from. That is outstanding. That these guys, I don't know if everybody knows, but Big E's best friend in like WWE, like at the time, was John Huber. They were good friends. They were like pretty much best friends. Like they hung out all the time.
Big E on that specialty, they said they were like brothers.
Yeah, and Amanda said last week that, and it was very emotional if you haven't read it, but she basically said that, like, she said how they told Brody Lee Jr. about how his father passed, and she had Cody Rhodes and Big E there to be there for her and Brody Lee Jr. To break it down and just be like there for him and her. I can't imagine how hard that would be to do, but I know that she picked two good guys to do it. You know what I mean? I got pretty emotional with John Huber passing, just like a lot of people did, because it's one of those things where we tend to not realize what we have until it's gone, and that's what I think hurt us so much about John Huber passing away, because we saw the potential in him before he even left WWE. A lot of us did. That match he had with Dominic Dijakovic at When Worlds Collide, I remember saying, like, after that match, I'm like, that is the John Huber that I know. That is the one that, like, Vince, you ignorant son of a bitch. Yeah. This is the John Huber you have. This is him. This is the guy that is badass. And it was said that Vince didn't care for John Huber because he couldn't do a Southern accent. That just baffles me that would bother you to an extent. I mean, if anything, Vince, you could send the guy to like acting classes and teach him, if that's what you really need from him. But that just seeing before going off, I just thought that was really cool with what these three guys are doing. Like all the proceeds or everything is going to that food shelf in Rochester. So really cool about that. And I'll just let you guys make a comment on that before we move over to sports.
It's funny how you were mentioning it, because of the fact that the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, like, that's just amazing. Hopefully they watch those things first.
But, they will. Trust me, they will.
But I was thinking more along lines like, you know, what you said about the Southern accent stuff. They said the same thing about Andrade, and Andrade's working his tail off right now with his English. But what got me with all that stuff, and I've said this before, his SmackDown run away from the Wyatt family was amazing. The stories you hear about him wanting to keep his t-shirt clean but looking dirty and trying to make it look you know, the story about him and Breeze and Rowan traveling to Pensacola when they were in NXT, and they had to drive all the way back to where they live, and Rowan had his ride showing up because he called them and stuff, and he grabbed his stuff out and they locked him out the rent-a-car because they got there about 2 hours early. Stuff like that. It shows you the character of the person. So them and he's saying all the stuff they were saying on stuff. I'm not surprised that they're doing this, and I'll be honest, I would be the first one to applaud them. Regardless of losing a parent and stuff, speaking from my experience, I would, if someone said, "Hey, I'm donating this for lung cancer," I would take it. If it was like a ticket or something like that for a raffle, I would buy like 10 of them without even thinking. I mean, look at a good example. I mean, if you could do it, Rob, you'd probably find the site and donate $10, It's the same way with a lot of people, it's just, they squandered an opportunity. EW took it, ran the ball with it, made him a champion, and WWE made him an IC champion, and that will never be taken away.
Yeah.
But they made him a focal point champion in AEW, and it's just sad that how things go. But there's the characters of the people that we admire the most that stand up and stand out.
And what do you think about it, Aaron?
I think it's a good thing. Donating the wrestling attire that they wore last night to a good cause for a guy that's very well liked, very well respected, a fellow Leaf fan. And I don't know why Vince McMahon had a problem with the Southern accent. Who cares? The guy didn't talk much anyway in WWE, right? So why does it matter if he has a Southern accent when he didn't talk much? And overall, it's just a good thing, good on a New Day, and whoever else is donating for a good cause.
Wow. Well, we'll move on to sports now. So far, there hasn't been much news this morning, like sports-wise. The biggest news that I see on like ESPN is that former AL MVP Dustin Pedroia announced his retirement. He didn't play. He hasn't played since 2019 because of a knee injury, but he did announce his retirement. I know that Throwback likes the Red Sox, and I know, Aaron, that you are a baseball fan, and you're a fan of Toronto, so you've been able to see him play quite a bit, I'm sure, against your Blue Jays.
Of course.
He was a good ball player, definitely a good ball player. As far as like retiring, that sucks that he's probably. I think it's obvious, like anybody, that he would still love to play forever. It sucks that he has to retire now because of like injuries and age. But he announced his retirement, and I'll let you guys talk because you're more familiar with his. I watch baseball all the time. It doesn't matter who's on. I've seen him play a lot. He's a great player. But I want to get your guys' opinion because I know you. I'll
let Aaron go first because I'm probably going to take a lot longer considering I've actually seen him play day in and day out, more respectively, and the impact of he's done in this in Boston in general, in the outside communities. Yeah, so go ahead. You can go, Aaron, because there's a lot of good things I could talk about.
So Throwback will definitely have more than me, but with Dustin Pedroia. Oh, as a Blue Jay fan, he's playing the same division, right? As the Red Sox. Now, as a second baseman, as a hitter, and I know as a person, as Throwback will mention, he's a good person. Like that's just in the community. But as a hitter, he may not be the most powerful hitter. Like he'll get you like maybe 15 to 20 home runs a season, but he could hit for average. He doesn't strike out. He doesn't get a lot of walks, but the key thing is he doesn't strike out, and he did a lot of damage against the Blue Jays. He helped the Red Sox win a World Series. What years? What years was he? So he wasn't a 2007 World Series team, the 2013 World Series team. Was he on the 2008? Was it 2017 they won the World Series? Throwback.
They've won four. They've won for 04, 07, 013, 08. I mean 18.
Okay, he was on the 18 team. He wasn't on the 4 team, right? I know that. So he helped him win 3 World Series. High impact player.
He actually, believe it or not, he still got a ring for 18. It was mainly because he was on the roster for the minimum requirement. Yeah. But he still helped them as like it was kind of like a de facto bench coach. But
so I was saying, so I'm looking at stats, overall stats. Career-wise, he's played from 2006 to 2019. Okay, he didn't play much in 2019. In 2018, he didn't play much. But so basically from 2006 to 2017, I think he might be I think he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because the second baseman for Hall of Fame is not a very strong class. I mean, who in Hall of Fame you can think is it's definitely in it's in the Hall of Fame as a second baseman. You got Roberto Alomar, probably the greatest second baseman of all time. Ryan Sandberg. I can't think of any other second baseman. I believe Jeff Kent's to be in it. I think Cano's going to be in it. And I think Pedroia will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's a first ballot, but I do think he's a Hall of Fame caliber second baseman because he has enough years, played more than 10 years, and his stats have been consistent. And second base, it's a position where, like shortstop, even though shortstop has changed over the years more than second baseman in terms of offense, but as a second base, I think he'll definitely get in the Hall of Fame because second baseman is not a strong position in the Hall of Fame for the Hall of Fame.
Sure. All right, throwback.
I was lucky enough to see him play not only as a Red Sox, but in the farm system. The city of Lowell is actually no longer part of the Red Sox organization. They're working with the Red Sox to fix that. But I got to see him in the short season A team here in Lowell, and I've actually seen him, Lester, and this is all when I was working there or going into games. I've seen Benintendi play. I've seen, so many people coming through the city. But Pedroia was the nicest person you could ever meet. Every time you were either standing on the side waiting for somebody to pick you up or anything, he would sit and talk to you. There's a faint conversation that I had passing with my friend, and he's just standing over us talking about it. Probably he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Red Sox one, obviously, but I think he's probably going to be like a 4th or 5th one. The majority of those Red Sox teams in this century with those 4 World Series are going to be in the Hall of Fame, except for Manny, which is kind of a shame. But I could see, that 07 team, if they didn't have, PD playing at the top of that order, setting the table and stuff, that 07 team would be completely different. Being a leader in the clubhouse after everything, him and Ortiz just literally going at it and fighting, being all the injuries, he still contributed on the bench as a teacher and stuff. I think him and Veritek are the next two to get in line for a manager's position with this team in some capacity. They're moving the AAA team to Worcester now, so I can see them wanting to put somebody who has a high-profile local boy talent, and I'm not talking about homegrown. I'm talking about played here, has a name in this town, and everything. And I could see them asking Pedroia to run that team to teach the next generation. Now, to see what happens after that is going to be hard. I mean, second basemen are generally really good coaches in general. I mean, Alex Cora, for all his faults and stuff like that, was a second baseman, was a good coach. Catchers are very well known to be very good coaches. So down the line, he could end up being a coach. But the contributions to that 07 team, the 13 team, is immense, and I think he definitely is going to be a 5th or 6th ballot Hall of Famer as a Red Sox, and I think he'll be, for the first time in a long time, the first Red Sox Hall of Famer in that position in a long time. I think if you had to go in order for that 07 team, Lester's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. It's bad what happened to Buchholz. Buchholz had so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously Ortiz is going to get in next year, right? Hopefully first round. There's so much good talent on that 07. Papelbon's going to get in, but he won't be until like maybe the 14th, 15th ballot. But
I don't. Yeah, Papelbon. I don't know. I don't know if he'd be. I don't know on that one.
But Mike Lowe is definitely
different, right? With closers is different. Like if Papelbon gets in, Wagner has to get in.
Yeah. Mike Lowe is probably a borderline Hall of Famer. I mean, but for all his faults, Beckett's going to end up getting in there just because of his postseason numbers for the most part. I mean,
I think you're pretty lenient on your Hall of Famers because there's some guys that deserve to be in there way before those guys, and I don't know. I don't see a lot of those. Obviously David Ortiz is going to be in there. Yeah. I think Dustin Pedroia will be in there. I don't think he's a first ballot, unfortunately, just based off how they've been voting. But yeah, he's a good ball player, for sure. But just moving on to other sports, the Super Bowl is obviously this coming Sunday. It's obvious that the NFL.
I love you, bud, but don't get me started on Gronk, please. We've already buried that rant.
I'm not going there. But it's obvious that the NFL did not want to compete with the Royal Rumble, so that's why they. No, I'm kidding. They always go with that. Well, they've always gone that 2 weeks after the championship. Conference championships for the most part. There have been a couple of years
here. Sort of Royal Rumbles during the Pro Bowl usually.
Yeah. So, with that said, we're not going to go too in depth with the Super Bowl, but I just want to get your guys' pick, and then I'll go last. Basically, I just want to know who you think wins, and tell me who you think your MVP is going to be.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City is going to win. Because I think they're stronger on both sides of the ball. A lot of people don't talk about their defense. They talk about their offense, but their defense is really, really good. And their offense is stacked. You have Kelsey. Tyreek Hill is small, but he might be the fastest receiver in the league. And Pat Mahomes might be the best quarterback. He's probably the best quarterback in the league. But I think Kansas City is going to win. But I'll say this. You never count Tom Brady out. So my pick is Kansas City, but Tom Brady, you can never count him out.
And who's your MVP?
I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill. I don't know.
Okay. What about you, Throwback?
It kills me to say this. After seeing this guy be a quarterback in 20 years in New England, I think the Bucs got it this year. I think it's going to make history. The first hometown Super Bowl champions to ever win the Super Bowl for the first time. I think, though, it's going to be a close game. I think Mahomes is going to keep it close. Like you said, Aaron, their defense is nothing to be squandered. But I think with all those weapons, somebody grab that phone.
Yeah, that's not me.
Not during this.
Gotcha. I was like, just to answer it and say Domino's. No. Yeah.
But I think it's going to be the Bucs. It's going to be a close game. I think the MVP is going to be, believe it or not, because I haven't heard much of his name being said around, is probably Mike Evans. And I think this might be his game to break out, especially within about a year or two. I think his rookie contract's almost up. So I think people will look at this moment and be like, this was his game to break out, and then go from there. You can't, like Aaron said about Kansas City, their defense is really sneaky, but I think the Bucs is that whole team is well balanced. I think the bigger news other than the Super Bowl came out, I think you might touch on that, but I mean, that this is just going to be one of those really close games that like an old-fashioned Patriots game where it's going to be close. It's going to be that close.
I remember when the Buccaneers had elite defense against the Oakland Raiders. We had like in 2002, I think it was, when they had Tim Brown and Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon. That Oakland Raiders offense was stacked, and that Buccaneers defense just shut them down. shut him down with that defensive core of Simeon Rice, Warren Sapp, Darren Brooks, Wande Barber, and a bunch of John Lynch. That defense just shut them down. So if you have a good defense, you can shut down a great offense.
I mean, look at the 03-04 Patriots. Like literally that team with Harrison and stuff in their secondary, that was just insane.
What news are you talking about? Like, what's bigger?
The trade that happened over the weekend.
Oh, Matthew Stratford?
Yeah.
Oh, has that officially gone through? Because I haven't.
I think so.
Okay.
And I think that the biggest trade in baseball, I think it has to go through still with that Nolan Arenado. I know that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a big trade too. That trade's something else because just going off on that, the Rockies are not getting much in return for.
I know.
That's a weird trade. But yeah,
He's not happy there, so they had to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, I get that, but I just thought it was still, yeah, I guess that trade is official. So
the Stratford trade is going to be the first domino that comes out, and now teams are going to want.
Boston get.
That's where I'm hitting at. They're talking majorly because the Pats don't even know if they're going to pick up Newton's contract yet. So they're heavily considering going for that trade because this year they have the 15th pick in the first round. And that would give the Texans a lot of ammo, and they would have a quarterback that they could have for Watson for like another 10 years.
That's one of my teams. It's for the Pats possibly going after Watson. That's one of my teams.
So, I mean, and one of the things I've been reading is that they want N'Keal Harris as part of the trade for it. And that would be like an insane deal. But, I mean, you have to get somebody who's a really good quarterback to hanker it down. If Stafford was still around, that would be a perfect fit. Him and Belichick, it would be like a mini Brady again. And he would have to contend dealing with, Patricia again, but still, I mean, he won't be interacting with him as much since he's back on the defensive side of the ball. But that would have been like a perfect fit for everything, especially with, Josh McDaniels as your coordinator. The running aspect of her running quarterback in this offense, I don't see it. It's more like a West Coast offense. I think they should just stick to what made them good. But that could be me looking back at the past too.
Deshaun Watson wouldn't fit that offense then because he's kind of that. But this draft coming up is very strong in the quarterback position. I mean, you got the two elite ones, Josh Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Then you got the other ones I forget. The other one's from BYU and another one I forget. But there's very strong quarterbacks in the first round. But if you can get Watson, go for it.
I mean, what else other list of quarterbacks that are going to be free agents this year? I mean, that are on their last deals, either rookie deals or stuff.
I think
that could be something interesting.
That was stupid. For not trying to sign him to a contract extension.
Well, to an extent, I mean, they kind of came out ahead, like with him getting injured. That sucks for him, but he. The one thing I'll say about Dallas is they gave him good money, like option. He just didn't sign it, and there were a lot of people that said
there's a lot of average quarterbacks getting too much money in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say this though, Robert Kraft has a really good relationship with Jerry Jones, so I wouldn't be surprised if Rob turns around and hints at it, has Bill poke the bear a little bit and see if they're willing to unload it and then sign him for a long-term deal. I mean, Bill is well known for these rehabilitation projects. He did it with Corey Dillon too, Randy Moss and stuff.
So moving on from the trade there, a couple other little tidbits going on. Sorry, I had my. I know you guys are big video game guys. This isn't really big news at all, but they announced today that Fernando Tatis Jr. will be the cover guy for MLB The Show. I'm a big fan of that video game. I know, I know that you have a PlayStation, or I think you do, Aaron. Is that right?
Yeah, I have the PlayStation 5. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this game. I play the crap out of that, but that's not really like big news, obviously. But I just thought I'd mention it. Something like on the side of like sports, like it's not really sports, but Nike today announced that, and I don't know how it's going to work. I haven't watched a video on it, but they have announced their first ever hands-free shoe. So that is odd. But I'll have to watch a video on that. But you can check out that story on Bleacher Report at BR Kicks. That'll be on there. A couple other things just to cover.
Sorry about that.
No, no problem. The like basketball, just talking like some basketball here. Philadelphia has been pumped up all the way to like a lot of the top power rankings this year. They're starting to move up now. I know Embiid got hurt, and I have a storyline going with Joe Hober. And it's not really a big one. I just like to take shots at Embiid. I'm not a big fan of his because of his actions with Karl Anthony Towns in the past, but it's just like a storyline that we do. But yeah, the NBA, it seems to me that the NBA talk has been somewhat quiet, but that also reminds me that is normal until the NFL season is over. It's still been talked about, obviously, but it's somewhat quieted down, and I think it'll pick back up after the Super Bowl. The only other thing that I was going to mention, like NBA wise, is do you guys pay attention much to it, and who do you think? And this is very early, but who do you think? Just to kind of get a feel for your opinions, who do you think will be in the finals this year? I have it being the Lakers and the Sixers, but we'll see.
Oh, you're going classic there. I'm itching for a Lakers Boston revival, and that's me be partially a homer, but with how close Boston was last year to get into the finals and stuff, and how Brown and Tatum have grown a little bit more, I'm itching just to see, these guys go at it in like the old school gritty 80s Boston, the 08, match with Pierce and, Kobe kind of thing where it's like, you want to see who's the best of the best. I think Tatum this year, as looking as a fan of the overall, I think he has the opportunity to beat very slimly LeBron for the MVP. But it all depends on who has the hot hand at that point, too. It's just like anything else in life. Okay.
So we got about 5 minutes left, so I just was going to let you go real quick, Aaron, on that. What you thought or think. Did we lose them?
For the finals?
Play or just...
I got the Lakers. Lakers. The East, I'm not so sure. Like, my Saturday show, I said Brooklyn, only if they could work together. But Brooklyn hasn't been, even with the 3, they haven't been really, really dominating because they can't play defense. And I think they lost yesterday. And they lost twice to the Cavaliers. So I'm not sold on the East yet. I mean, Philadelphia is the best team. And I think Embiid is having an MVP type season, so I'm not sure in the East. I'm gonna still go Brooklyn, but I'm like 30% sure on Brooklyn. I'm more like 85% sure for the Lakers, but for the East, I'm like 35% for the Nets because they haven't been really good even with Harden, Durant, and Kyrie.
Yeah, and before I forget, I just want to say a shout out to everybody in the chat, from Logan to Jobber being in there, Tad. Seems like I'm forgetting somebody.
Tim's there. I know Ron said he wish he could be here.
Okay. So yeah, we want to say thank you for tuning in. This is just a trial run, kind of to get ready for more. The last thing I know, we're all three hockey fans. So just going into finishing this show up, I've been uh, pretty impressed. I do like some sports writing for a website called shootingthesportish.com. And one of my predictions this year, and it's not really going out on a limb by any means, but I have Leon Draisaitl winning the MVP for NHL this year. And he's right up there with points right now. He has 21 points, right behind Connor McDavid, who has 22. I think those two will be having a battle, like with points for the rest of the year. I think one of those two guys is going to be the MVP of the season.
Who is that? McDavid and who?
Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Those two are doing well. Mitch Marner with the Maple Leafs, I know that's your squad. He has 14 points. He's actually having a pretty decent season.
He's actually scoring too. He has like 5 goals, and he's not known as a scorer too.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I did was
Lambert. Lambert's upset.
Yeah, Jeremy Lambert can go to hell.
He's upset. McKinnon's hurt apparently.
No, not that. I was joking. We have a little bit of a feud going because I'm a Wild fan and he's an Avalanche fan.
Yeah.
And I think he likes a stupid hockey team. But that's a storyline we're going with. But the one thing that I said before the season started, I have Leon Draisaitl winning the MVP, and I actually have I think the Avalanche. I had the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup finals. I know it's early, but I'm kind of backing off on that now. I don't think they will. But I could be wrong. The other thing that I was going to say, the rookies this year. I'm a Wild fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but Kirill Kaprizov has 8 points already in the season. He's tied with Ty Smith. I think, and Kaprizov was my pick to win the Rookie of the Year. I'm a big fan of his, but Ty Smith is playing good too. But I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on who do you think the MVP might be this year, and who do you see playing in the Stanley Cup Finals? I had it as Tampa versus Colorado or Las Vegas, but I'll let you guys tell me who you think.
I think Connor is going to be the one MVP. I think the third person in that whole scenario, if he gets hot, like I said, I'll be biased about this. I think Pasternak. This might be his absolute breakout year where he literally makes the league stand up on their heads and be like, ooh, this guy's better than everybody thought he could be. Especially with, Char now being in Washington, I think it gives them a lot more speed and depth. I think I think for the finals, I think you're right about the Avalanche, but I think it's going to get, excuse me, it's all going to come down into the East Finals. And I think if Tampa's there, the better series that would be a go against Tampa would be a gritty Boston team. But if it's not Tampa, I think Boston has a clear shot at it. I mean, after last year, they didn't really lose that many parts in the offseason anyways. They only lost Chara. So that was a major hit, but I think
Krug,
yeah, Torrey, but I mean, Krug was in and out a lot over the years and stuff, and they dealt with it. I think with the core that they have now, it's a little younger, faster, and Patrice is held in the reins. I think they'll do really well.
All right. Well, before we finish the show, we're almost done, but I'll let you go ahead and go, Aaron, and then we'll go from there.
I think, I'm going to be biased here, guys. I don't know how much you watched
Austin
Matthews play this year. Well, Matthews, okay, we all know he can score, but his game overall has taken to a whole new level. He's become a very elite defensively center. Now he's starting to use his body more. He's starting to hit more. I'm gonna be I'm maybe very biased here, but I think Matthews could be the best two-way center in the league because he can score and defensively sound. He's getting much better at it, and it's not hard to have a player that could do that.
Yeah, I already do. It's called Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah, but I think he's more skilled than Patrice Bergeron. Because he's still young, but wait, and Matthews he's only 22, 23. If you get Matthews in his 25, 26 years age, he'll be better than Patrice Bergeron ever was. No disrespect to Patrice Bergeron. Patrice Bergeron is one of the, at the time, maybe still be the best two-way center, Hall of Famer, but like Matthews on a different level, like at this age, compared to Patrice Bergeron, but McDavid is like. You know what I call McDavid? I call him McJesus. Because that's what he's billed as when he got drafted. It's called like the savior of the NHL, right?
Yeah.
And if it's either him or Leon Draisaitl is going to win the Art Walsh Trophy, the most points. And if they get into the playoffs, one of them will get the MVP. But the Minnesota Leafs are playing right now. We're leading the North. So I wouldn't be surprised if Matthews or even Marner gets consideration for MVP. In my Stanley Cup Finals, I have Vegas because I like Avalanche. I think Vegas has more depth, has better defense, has better goalie tandem, and they have Peter D'Angelo, and like that's a huge addition to a already stacked team. And in the East, I still got Tampa Bay, but they did lose some quality players, but they still got. We have to remember, Kucherov is out. That's a huge loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still got Tampa Bay, but then and I don't know who else. I got Tampa Bay in Vegas, and I think Vegas could beat Tampa Bay.
All right. Well, we were planning on going to about 12:15, which we're a little past, but so we're going to go ahead and end the show here. But I just want to say again, kind of give just like I said in the introduction, this is just a trial run for our new show that we'll be doing. Or not just new show, but new channel. So if you've ever wanted to like start your own YouTube show or podcast, we want to help you get that opportunity. But it's something that we want to know you. We're not just going to give you like a show without knowing you. Because this is going to be a community like that we're trying to build here too. So if you ever want to have a shot at doing your own show, we strongly recommend that you hang out some more, or at least get a hold of Throwback or myself. If you want to try guest hosting or just being a guest instead of having your own show, let us know. Because I remember the first time I ever had to like host a show, or like before I got into wrestling, I used to have to do social media stuff for Verizon Wireless, and I remember I was a nervous wreck. Granted, I had a ton more people watching me, but this is something that it can still be nerve-wracking if you're not used to it. So I just want to say, if you've ever wanted a shot, this is something that we definitely think you should reach out to us. In whatever you want to talk about. I mean, as long as it doesn't violate YouTube rules, I think we're pretty much open, you know. So we just want to say thank you for tuning in. This is again just a soft launch, and we'll be coming out with some more stuff soon. And there's going to be all kinds of things. We're going to do some live watch-alongs here and there. There'll be times that we might just come on and talk sports. And
there'll be times where, like, if I'm at work and Rob pops on and Aaron's going to be in the co-host seat with him talking about stuff, there'll be multiple people coming in. We'll be doing Uno streams, gaming streams here and there with StreamYards. You can do it. Me and Rob are going to do drafts this year. That's 100% the baby project of both of ours. We're going to get into fantasy stuff and start breaking that stuff down.
Baseball is next draft pop.
Yeah,
right?
We're going to get into that very soon. I got to pay for StreamYards. I'm going to put an invitation. I want to see if we can get some people like, I would love to have a fantasy draft with Rob, me, you, Sean, and a few other people, and just, have it live and do it for fun on the new channel. Just something different. We'll have Uno streams. We'll have gaming streams. it's going to be a little bit we're going to have somebody talking about health and wellness, which
that won't be me, but yeah, but again, guys, I want to say thank you, Jobber. I see your comment there. Yeah, if you're interested, hit me up sometime. So with that said, we're gonna call it a show, and we just want to say thank you again. But tomorrow night you can catch Throwback with his show at 8:00 here on the same channel that you're watching now. But Throwback, tell us where they can follow you, and then Aaron, I'll let you go after that.
Well, like Rob said, 8:00 every time we're going to be doing a show. Still working on a few things here and there. The podcast JJ was on. I'm going to see if I can get probably another person on, maybe Aaron this week if everything goes well, because we've been trying to schedule stuff. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about the Rumble. We're going to talk about all that stuff. Thanks, Rob, for hosting this. It feels completely weird for me not being in that, but it's a good change of pace. Other than that, Throwback 978 on Twitter. Says it right there on the ticker. All three of us. I can't wait for the hard launch that hopefully will be soon, and then in about 3 weeks we got a few big shows, and hopefully I can wiggle Rob away from Fightful for one of those nights. So.
All right, Aaron, tell us where we can find you.
So you can find me at Twitter at Aaron Jace Fans as the ticker scrolls. It's just down there. So just find me on Twitter at Aaron Jace Fan. You can find me on my YouTube channel at Aaron Entertainment, as you can see there, where my name is. I have a show today at 3:00, 2:00 Bob's time, of course. It's all about wrestling. I think I'm not sure what episode. It might be 13, but it's going to talk about Royal Rumble. I usually do a weekly review, but since it's past the pay-per-view, I won't talk about Raw and SmackDown, but I might talk a little bit about Raw, referring to Alexa Bliss stuff, but that's it. But I'll talk about AEW and NXT and Royal Rumble, AEW, NXT, and a little bit of Raw, remember that, and whatever wrestling news comes up. There's some news potentially affecting Tropicana Field with baseball, possibly WWE extending their contract with Tropicana Field into April, because possibly of the MLB delaying the season to May. I'll talk about that. So 3:00, Aaron Entertainment. Just find me on YouTube, and Aaron Jace Fan on Twitter.
All right. Thank you. And you can follow me at Rob Wilkins. I'm on Twitter more than I'm doing anything else, it seems, which is unfortunate. The other thing, I do occasionally write some news, like sports-wise, on shootingthesportish.com. I have not written anything on there for about 2 weeks. I took a little bit of a break, but I will be getting back into that with hockey back up and Major League Baseball getting closer, even though it still might be a couple more months away. But I'll be talking about that. As far as everything else goes, leave us a comment. Tell us what you think, and also leave us a comment who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, or anything else. And again, if there's a show that you want to try to do in the future, let us know. Contact either me or Throwback, and we will talk to you later. We appreciate it again. Take care of yourself, and we will see you soon. Boom.